The special meeting of the Annapolis City Council on Monday, March 27th, 2023 will be called to order at 7 p.m. At this time, would you join us for the invocation given by Alderman Tierney, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On a day like today, I'm really grateful to turn to my son, who's a writer, and he wrote this invocation for me. On this Monday evening, we humbly ask for a few things. We ask for the compassionate awareness to see both ourselves and others as whole people. We ask to be reminded in ways big and small of the joy this world brings, even though the most ordinary moments, the smiles shared among people, the bird song, and the light through the trees. We ask for light even as the day grows dark, knowing that light does not disappear, it only moves. We ask to view this world with grace, remembering the moments when we have needed it, and hoping that we never grow too proud to think that we will not need it again. We ask to see that the love of ourselves, of others, and of what we are doing here is a form of work, something we must choose to do each day. And we ask for guidance in that work and care. Love you, Devin.
Awesome.
Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes, sir. Mayor Buckley.
Here.
Alderwoman Tierney.
Present.
Alderwoman O'Neill.
Present.
Alderman Pendle-Charles.
Here.
Alderwoman Finlayson.
Present.
Alderman Shadow-Meyer.
Present.
Alderman Gay. Alderman Savage.
Present.
Alderman Arnett.
Present.
Thank you. Mr. City Attorney, please present the first item on the agenda.
Yes, sir. The next item on the agenda is approval of the agenda.
This time I'd entertain a motion to approve the agenda as amended to remove R-123 Workforce Housing Development Planning of the City of Annapolis. No. Could I get a motion?
So moved.
Could I get a second? Okay. Can I get a Alderman Savage?
I'd like to make a motion to adopt the agenda as written.
Second.
Okay, all those in favour, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next item on the agenda.
Yes, sir. The next item on the agenda is petitions, reports, and communications, beginnings with update from the mayor.
Thank you. Good evening. Last week, I met with members of Governor Moore's team to outline the City of Annapolis's priorities for consideration in the Maryland state budget. It was a great meeting. They were excited to see and learn about all the critical resilience, equity, and access and mobility projects that we are working on to deliver in the next 3 years. I truly appreciate the openness and partnership with which Governor Moore and his staff are engaging with the city. I look forward to the continuation of these conversations with Governor Moore and his team, with the new cabinet secretaries, and with all our state and federal partners to keep building understanding and support, including funding support that we will need to deliver these ambitious projects that we are all working on. Governor Moore has spoken frequently about his determination that Maryland will set the pace when it comes to resilience, jobs, and the economy. Annapolis is ready to do its part through policies like our commitment to sustainable electric mobility options and projects like our reimagined city dock that will position our city and our state to lead. As Maryland's capital city, we are also determined to set the pace. Over the weekend, the film festival brought outstanding feature, documentaries, and short films to a number of venues around the city. The program this year was one of the best ever, and I want to thank and congratulate everyone involved on an amazing weekend. The First Lady opened the festival on Thursday. The film festival is a great draw during an otherwise quiet period in Annapolis, and it helps fill hotels and inns, gives a boost to the local businesses, and gives us all something to think and talk about. I hope you enjoyed your weekend at the movies. Let's give these guys a round of applause. On Saturday, I was honoured to attend the inauguration of President Nora Dame Leitner at St John's. Another round of applause. Breaking some glass ceilings here. She is the 25th president of this 3 centuries-old college and the first woman. St John's is lucky to have a scholar and a leader as experienced and talented as President Dame Leitner, and I look forward to building an even closer relationship with St John's under her leadership. On Saturday, we will celebrate the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Parade and African Diaspora Festival in Annapolis. The parade will start at noon, just below Westgate Circle, and will travel down West Street to Main Street to City Dock, where the festival will take place. I will be marching in the parade along with some of my council and city colleagues. I hope to see everybody there. The governor will be there too, so come on down. Lastly, I want to give a quick reminder that the city offices will be closed in observance of spring religious holidays. The Pip Moyer Centre will be open on Good Friday, but closed on Easter Sunday. Trash and recycling pickups will not change. Happy Easter, happy Passover to all who celebrate. Now, let's get on with the meeting. Mr. City Attorney.
Yes, sir. The next item on the agenda is reports by committee.
Alderman O'Neill.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Transportation Committee met earlier this month, and we talked about parking throughout the different wards. And our next meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, April 12th at 4 p.m. here in Council Chambers. But right before that, on Tuesday, April 11th at 7 p.m., there will be a meeting of the West Annapolis Civic Association and West Annapolis Business Association to discuss parking in West Annapolis. And all are able to attend that. That's at the Ackerson Towers at the stadium. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Pindell Charles.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Public Safety Standing Committee met on March the 20th. At that time, we had a 3-hour meeting to discuss adequate public facilities, mitigation, police protection level certification requirements, and we voted favorably to move that on to the full council. After that, we had a very robust presentation and discussion regarding from our fire department, from our Office of Emergency Management, Hazard Mitigation Plan update, from Deputy Director Mandel, proposed State Disaster Recovery Fund, from Emergency Manager Planner, Mr. Chris Myatt, and we also went on to discuss about 10 different topics on, from the police department, including professional standards, community outreach, public information, and quite a few things that were on the agenda. Back in March, we talked about and had a just about 3-hour meeting on Annapolis United. So the last two meetings have been extremely robust, and I think it's worth anyone taking a look at if they want to get a great capsulization of what our what our public safety team does. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Alderman Finlayson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Rules and City Government Committee met on March 3rd here in Council Chambers. We addressed 2 pieces of legislation, O223, the budget target dates and financial impact of labor negotiations. The committee gave a favorable recommendation for O223. We also heard O1123, restaurant standards. We felt we didn't have quite enough information to make a decision about that, so we postponed action. Our next meeting will be on Friday, March 31st, here in Council Chambers at 1 o'clock. All are invited. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Savage, then Alderman Tierney, then Alderman Shanamore.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a quick report from Environmental Matters. We received a presentation from the Environmental Commission regarding their recommendations on a plastic bag ban and/or fee. And there are a number of things I think the committee is going to continue to work on this issue and try to develop some recommendations for the entire council moving forward on this.
Thank you. Alderman Tierney.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Finance Committee meeting met March 23rd. We reviewed legislation that you'll see on tonight's agenda, Charter Amendment 1-23, third-party indebtedness and bonds. We gave that a favorable recommendation. R11-23, city-supported special events in fiscal year 2024. We recommended that favorably. R13-23, third-party bond fees. We gave that a favorable recommendation. R15-23, we elected to postpone until the next meeting, the fee schedule updated for milestone inspections. That's related to Ordinance 55-22. We gave a favorable recommendation to R19-23, which waives the fees for the 2023 Annapolis Pride Parade and Festival. And our next meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, April 5th at 10:30. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderman Shanaway.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We met on March 27th going over appointments and legislation 01122, which we postponed until next meeting, and 05522, which we recommended favorably. We were given a written update by Stephen Rice, and our next meeting is going to be Wednesday, April 19th, with special guests Mr. Rice and Eric Lashinsky to go over the business component of the comprehensive plan.
Thank you. Any other? Alderman Gay.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor. At the last Housing and Human Welfare Committee meeting, we had a chance to discuss ID 3523, public safety officials, property tax exemption related to property tax exemptions for public safety officials. I withdrew 05022. I think I may have to formally do that at the meeting tonight. 04022 was requested for a postponement, and R123 was also requested for postponement until April the 17th, 2023. Additionally, I'd like to request that the acting director of planning and zoning attend the April the 17th meeting to discuss a recent story I read in regards to expedited development review for a property along the West Street corridor, which to my knowledge does not exist in the Annapolis City Code. I'd like him to provide an explanation on how, why, and when expedited development review was processed for a property along the West Street corridor that is not proposed for affordable housing. So thank you.
Thank you. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next item on the agenda. Alderman Finlayson.
Mr. Mayor, may I take a moment of personal privilege at this point?
Sure.
Thank you. I have distributed to all of you a copy of a book. It is entitled Celebrating African American Female Pioneers. I hearken back to when Alderman Israel was our representative representing Ward 1, and he provided each of us with a copy of the coffee table book, Our Annapolis. You may recall, quite a hefty volume. And that book gave us a very vast history of Annapolis. Well, yesterday, the Kunta Kinte Foundation sponsored a awards program, a recognition program, honoring 34 African-American women in Annapolis and Anne Arundel County who are first in their careers. I happen to have been one of those first, being the first African-American woman to lead the Teachers Association, the 5,000 members of our association back in '02. But this book has a wealth of information about 34 women in Annapolis and Anne Arundel County, women that you may have never heard of or whose names you've seen around, but you had no idea their significance. So I thought this would be a good opportunity to share with you, and it's Women's History Month, so quite fitting to to add to your, for those of you who have coffee table books, and maybe that's a little old-fashioned to say that, but anyway, to add to your libraries, I hope you will read it and learn more about the women who have been in our midst and many who still are. So thank you.
Thank you so much. I just want to thank my alderman, the alderman from Ward 4 this. I will read it. I appreciate the note inside. So thank you very much. But I also wanted to add to our agenda, if it would be possible, we've requested a number of legal notes from the Office of Law in our last meeting, and particularly related to the extent at which the council may extend, prohibit, or expand uses of boards or commissions. We also requested note as it relates to 05022 and 42 legal opinions on why the amendments could not be accepted. We did have a assistant city attorney present. I'm not sure if he documented the request, but the requests were submitted. And so I would hope that at our April the 17th meeting, the Office of Law could provide those updates as well. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll look into that. Anybody else? Mr. City Attorney, please present the next item agenda.
Yes, sir. The next item on the agenda is comments by the general public.
Right. First up, Tara Stout.
I'm used to this now. I knew I was first. Tara Stout. Tara Stout, 1118 August Drive, Ward 6. I'm here tonight to speak to Mayor Buckley and emphasize how desperately the Willows and the Legion need your help. We understand that you are very busy and it must be challenging juggling all the priorities. Should I wait until you're finished?
You should.
That's it.
Excuse me, but I'm here to speak with you, and so I'll wait until you're available to listen to start my 3 minutes.
It's already started.
I am listening, thank you, and I have to do a lot of things at one time, so we are listening.
Okay.
Listened a lot. Thank you.
Okay, I'm here tonight to speak to Mayor Buckley and emphasize how desperately the Willows and the Legion need his help. We understand that you are very busy and it must be challenging juggling all the priorities and responding to interests of the city constituents and staff. We know that planning and zoning is capable of advancing projects through in a timely fashion. That's evidenced by the fact that an application submitted in October sailed through the process and was officially approved on March 16th. The target market for that development is a higher socioeconomic demographic than the market for the Willows. The Willows application was submitted in April, had work sessions in August and September, and anticipated a public hearing at Planning Commission immediately thereafter. But it has been in limbo at Planning and Zoning ever since, actually for longer than it took for them to process and approve another development. As the mayor, I don't expect you to be involved in the minutia of the approval process for any project, just to effectively direct department heads on the importance of fair and objective application of the city code and timely action for all projects. After being told for months that our hurdle was Chief Jackson's approval of mitigation and being stalled over APF legislation that has more to do with the city's officer-citizen ratio and the judge's decision on Eastport Lofts than it has to do with the Willows, we worked with APD on a mitigation agreement that offered details should anyone ask why the proposed mitigation was deemed sufficient. Suddenly, the goalpost was moved, and now planning requires that the Office of Law vet and approve the chief's approval. Baffling as it may be, since everyone is on the email strings, it appears that due to the organizational structure of the city and the fact that planning reports to the city manager, and the city manager and the city attorney are direct reports to you, that you and only you can direct the Office of Law to provide planning, what planning is now requesting, or direct planning that they do not have the discretion to add another layer to this process. At the request of your chief of staff and Tom Smith, after the last council meeting, I followed up with an email on the 14th, left a voicemail for your chief of staff, sent you a text, resent the email on 3/20, and copied in the entire council. Earlier today, Ronnie Mitra, in-house counsel for the Willows, followed up reiterating that we were still awaiting a response and also informing the city that the Willows, Legion, and Providence Point have entered into a three-way
Thank
agreement
you.
regarding
That's
Skipper's
3
Lane
minutes.
rights-of-way.
3
Well, my
minutes.
3 minutes were
I
delayed
appeal
by
the
your
ruling of the
interruption.
chair, Mr. City Attorney. I appeal the ruling of the chair.
Okay, Alderman Gay, you're wasted.
No, I'm not.
You are.
No, and it's inappropriate for you to say that.
You know you are.
It is incredibly inappropriate for you to say that.
It's true.
It is incredibly inappropriate for you to say that.
We can talk about appropriate after the
No,
council
it's
meeting.
incredibly inappropriate for you to
It is
say that.
true. Thank you, and it's happened before.
Okay.
My last statement is, your chief
point
of
of order,
staff
point
and
of order,
Mr.
point of
Smith
order,
both-
point of order, point of order,
I'm
Mr.
not
City
recognizing
Attorney.
you, Alderman Gay.
Point
I'm
of
not
order, Mr.
recognizing
City.
you.
Point of order.
No, I'm not recognizing you.
Point of order, Mr. City Attorney.
I'm not recognizing you.
Point of order.
Alderman Gay, I'm not recognizing you.
Point of order.
There's no point of order if I
You've
don't
just
recognize you.
no. You have just directly broken the city code.
No,
You no,
please finish.
Okay.
No.
Mr. Mitra
City
informed
Attorney.
everyone that the Willows, the Legion, and Providence Point have entered into a three-way agreement regarding the Skipper's Lane rights-of-way. Your chief of staff and Mr. Smith both questioned me about the status of that agreement after my comments at the last meeting. So you've now been provided a copy.
No.
So if that's the real reason we've been stalled, that issue can be put to bed. You wrote a great letter of support that enabled the Willows to apply for low-income housing tax credits. We need you to respond or direct the appropriate parties to respond with what the city's timeline is for the Willows. Hopefully that will be an April meeting at Planning Commission. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. City Attorney, point of order.
Yes.
I would ask that you address the accusation made by the mayor on the floor.
The mayor
I
controls.
believe it is in direct violation of the city code and the rules of Robert orders. Please do so immediately.
The mayor is the presiding officer, so he controls the meeting.
Thank you.
And point of order.
I'm
Mr.
not
Point of
recognizing
order.
you in
Point
this
of order.
condition.
Point of order. I ask that you just please take back the statements that you made on the
I
council
will
floor.
take it back to get on with the meetings. I apologize. So let's get on with
It was it was incredibly disrespectful, and I would never undermine you in your seat in such a way, regardless of what knowledge I may have had previous to a city council meeting.
already have with your accusations.
I would have never. So you're gonna bring up now accusations in the public? Really, Gavin?
Yeah, yes. You already are accusing some.
Mr. City Attorney, I ask that we break for a 5-minute recess. I believe that the presiding officer is breaching and pushing very slanderous territory right now with another member of the council.
I'm not going to.
Mr. City Attorney, I ask that you address this in a manner necessary.
Mr. City Attorney does not run the meeting. I am running the meeting, Alderman Gay.
And you're going to use your pulpit
Yes,
to
I am.
undermine another member of the staff.
I am definitely going to. Yes. Thank you. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next speaker, Curtis.
Point of information, I'd like the record to note that I believe we're operating under insufficient rules of Robert order under direction of the City Attorney Michael Lyles and the Mayor Gavin Buckley.
Thank you. Curtis, you need to come forward?
Good evening. My name is Curtis Jones. I live at 1400 Breton View Road, Annapolis, Maryland, 21409. Again, I don't live in the city. And what I'm coming before you about is the Willows Project, affordable housing, and how to move affordable housing forward. That is the question I have. How will you guys move this thing forward, move this ball down the road, because it's been dragging on too long? And the other thing I want to talk about as far as affordable housing goes, the city of Annapolis have several veterans that live within the city that cannot afford to live here. There are people living in their cars. And just the other day, if I happened to be over at the Home Depot, I saw a lady living in her van. And I know she was living in it because the windows were covered up, all sides were covered, and she was sitting there with the door open. Now, that's blatant telling us that we need something have been done here. Because when you have people living in their vehicles on the street, in the public view, they're not hiding. They're letting you know, hey, we need help. And that's why I came up here. I'm still pushing for help for the people that can't afford to push. And I'm adamant about the fact that we need to do something. The members of this council need to move this dime across that line and stop moving the line down farther and farther and farther away. People are hurting every day. That's the state of it. Thank you.
Thank you, Curtis. We are going to get it done, and I know it's excruciating long, but I promise you it will get done. Thank you. Anybody else like to come forward and speak?
Mayor, elected officials, good evening. Pleasure to be here. My name is Trevor Hardman. It looks like I'm third on your agenda tonight, 01323. My name is Trevor Hardman. I'm the owner of Marine Entertainment LLC. We are proposing or requesting a lease from the city for dockage down at City Dock. I just wanted to come up, introduce myself. Like I said, I'm the owner. I'm also a career firefighter. Our hope is to bring a unique way for visitors, residents alike, to be able to get out on the water and see the city from the water. My wife and I live here locally in Anne Arundel County. We're avid boaters. We've been boating the area for 20 years. And for me, passionately, seeing the city or land from water is a pretty cool experience. So to be able to do that, like I said, in a unique and affordable way is really important to us. So I just want to introduce myself. There's a face behind what you're going to be reading here in a little while. I would like to clear up any kind of misconception that there may be. By no means is this a booze cruise of sort. My main goal is to keep this classy and professional. It's not, a frat party on a boat, more or less. It is for an opportunity for people to come out and see the city. Yes, we will offer BYOB. However, our tours are only going to last 90 minutes. We plan to go around by the Naval Academy, give some history, which there is deep history here, give a little bit of history along the Eastport shoreline, up into Spa Creek, and then ultimately we'll allow our guests to experience what we call Ego Alley. So thank you. I'll be here if you have any more questions. Thank you for the opportunity to come up here and talk to you guys.
Thank you. Want to come up and speak? Please state your full name and address. Thank
I'll
you.
be brief. Alice Estrada, President and CEO of the Annapolis Maritime Museum and Park. And we are also on the agenda tonight for a lease down at City Dock with our historic skipjack, Wilmalee. And I just wanted to explain why we want to be at the historic skipjack in historic Annapolis, because we are one of 22 skipjacks remaining in the fleet. We are the state boat. We're an 83-year-old historic wooden sailboat and a very authentic artifact for Annapolis. It also dovetails with the City Dock Action Committee and plan, which includes to maintain an authentic historic maritime character to Annapolis, activates the Bertos Basin with boating activities, offer educational opportunities with organizations, and just preserve that historic downtown fabric and cultural resource. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Arnett.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to say how happy I am. We last saw the Stanley Norman down at City Dock, and it'll be very good to have a skipjack back in our historic town. So you have my support and thanks.
Thank you. Anybody else like to come forward and speak? Thank you all. I declare the public hearing closed. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next on the agenda.
Yes, sir. The next item on the agenda is appointments. The first one is AP 623, the appointment of Stanford Womack Sr. to the Recreational Advisory Board Commission.
Could I get a motion to approve AP 6-23?
So moved. Second.
Get a second. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next item on the agenda.
Yes, sir. The next item on the agenda is legislative actions on first reader, beginning with Ordinance O-1123, changes to the Resilience Authority of Annapolis and Anne Arundel County.
Is there a motion to adopt O-11-23 on first reader?
Second.
Thank you. Alderman Savage.
I'd just like to ask this to be referred to environmental matters.
Sure. Of course. President. I assume it is. Thank you. Okay. All those in favour? Oh, did we vote that? Sorry. All those in favour say aye. 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 Opposed? Thank you. Can we also refer it to Rules of City Government? Thank you. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next item on the agenda.
Yes, sir. The next item on the agenda is O-1223, lease of city property by the Annapolis Maritime Museum.
Could I get a motion to adopt O-12-23 on first reader?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Alderman Savage.
I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules to adopt this on second reader.
Okay. Second. Is that a roll call? No? Okay. Motion and a second. All those in favour of suspending the rules say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Could I get a motion on second? Second reader?
So moved.
Alderman
Second.
Savage? Yeah.
First and second.
Oh, sorry, yes, move
We already.
O-1223 on second
Oh, you
reader.
did already?
Oh, second, I'm sorry.
Thank you. Is that a roll call?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, Mayor Buckley,
Aye.
Alderwoman Pendle Charles,
Aye.
Alderman Finlayson,
Aye.
Alderman Shannon Meyer,
Aye.
Alderman Gay,
Aye.
Alderman Savage,
Aye.
Alderman Arnett,
Aye.
Alderwoman Tierney,
Aye.
Alderwoman O'Neill.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next on the agenda.
Yes, sir. The next item on the agenda is Ordinance O-1323, lease of city property to Marine Entertainment LLC.
Is there a motion to adopt O-13-23 on first reader?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you.
Point of order, Mr. Mayor.
Yep, Alderman.
If possible,
Shandemeyer?
I would like to suspend the rules, try to see if we can get this to a final vote tonight. There is, the lease is supposed to begin on Friday according to the negotiations with the harbor master, so makes sense that we approve it and put it in a contract before we have that lease start.
Okay, that's a motion. Could I get a second?
Second.
Okay. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Aye. I don't think we got everybody there.
Yep. Second reader.
Did we get everybody? I don't think we...
Did somebody say no?
I didn't say anything.
We didn't hear any no's.
We didn't hear
Oh,
you.
yeah.
You're the presider.
All those opposed say no.
We pass.
Passes, okay. Could I get a motion on second reader, please?
So moved.
Thank you. All those in discussion, and I think maybe you can get together with the organisers and Alderman Savage. Yep.
But yeah, I mean, I guess since we're on second reader, I have a lot of questions, just off of what I've read in the legislation. I have a lot of concerns as far as just having a boat, another boat down there, a private boat that is going to be having a BYOB with alcohol, and also I think I stated in the lease amplified music, and they mentioned going down in the description, going down under the Spa Creek Bridge, which does get towards residential neighborhoods. I know if I lived there, I would have concerns. So I'm just not quite sure this is something we should be using our public dock for. I think something like the Wilma Lee is a good draw for tourists, for education, for visitors, but to have what's a self-proclaimed party boat does give me some concern. I also don't know what it looks like at all. So it's completely, I just feel really uncomfortable approving anything that I don't even know what it would look like or what it would entail.
Alderman Shannemeyer, I think Jackie Gold has some comments too if you need.
Good evening. Jackie Guile, Deputy City Manager for Resilience and Sustainability. So in response to Alderman Savage's concern about amplified music, this lease and this lessee, just like all our other lessees, will have to comply with city code regarding amplified music and noise levels. And as far as a description of the boat, Mr. Hardman can provide greater detail than I can, but what the harbor master shared with me was an approximately 30-foot vessel with a table in the middle around which the patrons are seated, and there are pedals on the floor. The boat is propelled by the pedals, but there's also a captain who has control over steerage and has an engine as well.
There's a table in the middle of the boat. I thought I read something about bicycles.
No, no bicycles. It's their pedals on the floor, and the patrons are seated around the table with the pedals on the floor, and they propel the boat by pedaling. You may have seen something akin to it in other cities where they have a similar type of design around it's more of a bicycle type of design. This is the same thing, but in a vessel situation.
Are there, so I understand the noise restrictions that are currently in the code, but what are the restrictions on hours as far as amplified music on a boat, on this type of a vessel?
There would be the city, whatever the city code says regarding hours and noise levels.
Does anybody know what that is?
I don't know offhand, I'm sorry, I do not.
Because, I mean, I'd be concerned, I know there were complaints from a recent event in the city going very late, 1 a.m. outdoor event. You know, I think I would need to know, I think, what time, just for my vote anyway, what time it would end as far as the noise. And again, I think I understand that this is operated in Baltimore, but you know, I think we have a lot more, but frankly, a lot quieter residential neighborhood nearby City Dock. So I'm still not quite comfortable.
Alderman Tierney.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On the previous testimony for the Wilma Lee, I really appreciated the fact that Alice spoke to how the Wilma Lee is in, for lack of a better word, in conformance with the City Dock Action Committee's intent. And there were 100 people in that group, and they all went into different areas to discuss, and there was one group that specifically focused on, what special events should occur. And I know that, one of the priorities was the historic nature of City Dock. Is this in line with that?
This particular vessel and this type of vessel was not discussed in the City Dock Action Committee plan, but I cannot say that it's not out of line either. It may not have been anticipated. This is a pilot lease, 2 weeks of the months. Well, this actually starts on March 31st, but basically runs April through August. The mayor has decided that he will provide commercial vendors with the opportunity, and that Wilma Lee this is a commercial lease because they are charging for their excursions, even though they are not for profit. They are operating a commercial lease in this case. But the mayor decided that we would offer 2 week per month commercial leases on a pilot program basis. So therefore, we are trying it out. We will see, the idea is to see if there are commercial vendors interested, how we determine at the end of this pilot program in August, how well this fits with our vision for City Dock, whether it's viable for commercial vendors, and any other changes we would choose to make.
Thank you for saying that. Thank you very much. That was my concern, is that City Dock, when it's done or even nearly completed, is going to attract a lot of hopefully small businesses or what have you. So I didn't want to lock in, those opportunities right now. So the fact that it's a pilot is good. So thank you very much for that clarification.
You're welcome, Alderwoman.
Alderman Pendell Charles.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I know about a year and a half ago, there was an event in the city where there was a complaint about noise. And the question was asked to me if the police department has a decibel machine. And so I did check on that, and I think it needs to be, I won't say upgraded, but maybe a new one. But that's my concern as public safety. That's something that you can check on, or I can check on to make sure that they have a new one. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Alderwoman.
Alderman Annette?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just got a text message asking if this complies with the no discharge zone. I believe there's no toilet on the boat, so I think it complies unless people are
The vessel,
discharging.
all vessels have to comply with the no discharge zone.
Right. But I'm asking because someone asked to ask.
Yeah, the waste will have to be pumped out from this vessel.
Right. Thank you.
You're welcome, Alderman.
Okay, have a first and a second. All the roll call, sorry? Yeah,
Yes.
roll call.
Okay. Mayor Buckley,
Aye.
Alderwoman Pendle Charles,
Aye.
Alderwoman Finlayson,
Aye.
Alderman Shannon Meyer,
Aye.
Alderman Gay, Alderman Savage,
No.
Alderman Arnett,
Aye.
Alderwoman Tierney,
Aye.
Alderwoman O'Neill.
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next on the agenda.
Yes, sir. The next item on the agenda is R 2023, Support for State of Maryland Disaster Recovery Fund.
Is there a motion to adopt R-20-23 on first reader?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like the rule suspended on this one. We've gone through this tornado ordeal for a year and a half, and this is all part of the process of what we're trying to streamline with our residents and businesses. It's been an uphill climb in the Office of Emergency Management. Our chief here, Kevin Simmons, is here. I've talked with Deputy Chief Mandel as well about this, and so we're hopeful tonight that the rules can be suspended for this, for supporting our residents. We still have at least 2 residents and maybe a business or 2 that need to be made whole.
Well, no, that's not a motion. We've got to vote on this first, so let's vote it on first reader, please. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Could I get a motion to suspend the rules?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Could I get a motion on second reader?
So moved.
So moved. Second.
Second. Thank you. Could I get a roll call?
Yes, sir. Mayor Buckley,
Aye.
Alderwoman Pendle Charles,
Aye.
Alderwoman Finlayson,
Aye.
Alderman Shannon Meyer,
Aye.
Alderman Gay,
Aye.
Alderman Savage,
Aye.
Alderman Arnett, Alderwoman Tierney,
Aye.
Alderwoman O'Neill.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Thanks, Chief. Thank you. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next on the agenda.
Yes, sir. The next item on the agenda is legislative actions on second reader, beginning with Ordinance 04020, Workforce Housing.
Could I get a motion?
So moved.
Can I get a second?
Point of order.
What are we doing?
Point of information would be your call.
Can I just say something? We were
Point of
Gina,
Okay, we were told that 04022 was to be referred back to the Housing Committee.
That was the request, madam.
Okay, just so I don't know what we're doing with
Mr.
it.
City Attorney, where does that stand?
Not sure what I'm being asked.
So they were told that it was supposed to go back to the Health Welfare Committee, but I think that we've just voted it down, yeah.
There has to be a motion to do something. Right now, it's motion to...
Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion to postpone it until our April the 17th meeting of the Housing Human Welfare Committee meeting.
Yeah. Can you
You need a second?
get a second, please?
Second.
I'm going to do well, actually. All those in favour say aye of the postponement.
Aye.
Aye.
All those against say no. No.
Mr. Mayor, could we do a discussion on the topic?
It's been voted down now, so
Awesome, no problem. Thank you so much. I appreciate your assistance as the chair.
thank you. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next on the agenda.
I made a motion to By the way, I appreciate this tag team. This is phenomenal tonight. Mike Lyles and Gavin Buckley. I had made a motion previously to withdraw 05022, and I put that motion on the floor tonight.
You gotta read it into, I was just saying, the attorney gotta read it into the record first. We didn't.
So you make a motion,
First of all, you gotta
Read
get back to the agenda.
okay, yes.
The next item on the agenda is ordinance 05022.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor. As the sponsor of the amendment, I appreciate the floor. Thank you. I make a motion to withdraw 05022. I previously made this recommendation in the Housing and Human Welfare meeting. We've discussed it, we've agreed, and I would appreciate the consensus of this council and body tonight.
Can I get a second?
Second?
Alderman Arnett.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I want to get a clarification because I heard at the Housing and Human Welfare that if it's withdrawn, it can't be reintroduced. I don't know whether it's this year or this term, and I want to make sure, I do think we need rent control legislation, so I want to make sure if we're withdrawing it that there isn't going to be some period of time before we can introduce new legislation.
Mr. Mayor, if I could comment on that before the chair or before the city of law or the city manager makes their comment. We've been told so many things by the Office of Law throughout our propositions for legislation on both 04022 and 05022. I'm not sure, Alderman from the 8th Ward, what is true. If the legislation cannot be reintroduced as is, or if it cannot be reintroduced under the guise of separate legislation. I think that is one of the things we'd request from the Office of Law as we move forward on legislation.
Mr. City Attorney.
04022 wasn't drafted by the Office of Law. So we have made no comments about it. We didn't draft it. We don't, all we do is write what people tell us to write. We didn't have any legal review of it because we didn't draft it.
Mr. City Mayor, we did submit the first version of 04022 to the Office of Law. I worked in tandem with the planning and or the planning department. We submitted the first version of 04022 to the Office of Law. The Office of Law, I'm not sure under whose direction, then turned around and submitted a separate version of that under a separate title of the code. The Planning and Zoning Department was caught off guard and shocked because we submitted a proposal to the Office of Law to be submitted to the full floor of the City Council. It was not under that process. We got separate legislation. I've talked to the Office of Law, the policy analysis, as well as the Planning and Zoning director at the time and the planning staff assisting on the legislation. There clearly was some confusion, but I have 3 versions of the legislation here, so I want to be sure to the general public that 04222 was submitted to the Office of Law and had been submitted to the Office of Law through its original inception.
Mr. City Attorney.
04022 was submitted to the Office of Law. We made revisions, corrections for legal sufficiency. Those corrections and revisions were refuted and repudiated by others in staff and on the council, and we then retracted our legal sufficiency review and our draft and decided to let the parties who were originally involved in 04022 continue the path of legislation without our involvement.
Thank you so much. Point of information, Mr. Mayor.
Excuse me, point of order. I had a question on the floor, which was
Gay
relevant.
still has the floor. So.
Well, my question was with regard to.
I was under the impression that when you called for a point of information, the floor was yours.
You're on the floor. Let's hear from you, Alderman Gay.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate your time. Just in closing this out quickly, because 04022 is not even on the floor, but we had several discussions starting in November with this legislation. The problem is that we didn't even have an assistant city attorney present at our meetings to guide us correctly on the amendments until I requested one. Now, granted, that request is supposed to be made. However, I think in any committee meeting, and particularly when you're dealing with important legislation, an assistant city attorney should be present. I did request one at the previous meetings to relegate the amendment issues that we had. I think those were fixed, and that was my point of having the legislation sent to this body and then being sent to my committee. It was not done that way. I hold no malice to anyone on the floor. I want to come back with new legislation, and I appreciate the time to discuss that, even though it's an inappropriate point of information because we're not even on 04022 from the city attorney. He discussed this, not me.
You brought it up, Alderman Gay.
So
Alderman Arnett.
we had a motion to withdraw 05022. It was properly seconded. My question, and I want to make sure for myself, but more importantly, because I do support rent control legislation, what will be the status of future landlord-tenant relations? Can we introduce new legislation immediately, within 2 months, whatever? Can we introduce new legislation that deals with landlord-tenant relationships? I think we very much need this kind of legislation. And it's not just for the rent rates, it's also for the maintenance of the properties, for the health and well-being of the tenants. So I want to make sure that if we pass this withdrawal, we are not precluding us coming back with new legislation to deal with landlord-tenant relations.
I'm assuming you can introduce legislation whenever you like, Alderman Arnett, but I'll get the city attorney to confirm. Not the same legislation, but Mr.
I know, but that was brought up at the Housing and Human Welfare meeting, that if it was withdrawn, that we couldn't introduce for a year or for the term any new legislation having to do with landlord-tenant.
And that was told to us. I support the alderman from Ward 8. That was told to us in our Housing and Human Welfare Committee meeting. And so we are not clear because they say, you know.
I'm going to get some clarity for you now, please.
Okay.
Mr. City Attorney.
The particular bill could not be brought back, but there's a wide array of things that you could do in landlord and tenant, the landlord and tenant topic that is not the same as this bill. This bill, as I understand it and read it, involves developing guidelines through a rent stabilization board who would present those guidelines to the council for passage and set some increased notice requirements. But there are a wide array of things that could be brought up that may not be directly on point. But when the code suggests that things can't be brought up in the term, they're talking about the bill, not the topic generally.
Thank you. With your permission, Mayor, can I ask the sponsor a question?
Yes.
I understand, Alderman Gay, that you've been working on significant rewrite of the ideas that were in this legislation, and in your opinion, are they significantly different than this bill? So we won't run into any problems if we want to introduce a new bill?
I do believe so, Mr. Alderman, and I intend to make them as such so that we do not run into any problems with the legislation moving forward. I've seeked the counsel of members from the Montgomery County Council, as well as other jurisdictions that have passed this legislation to ensure that we do have the correct direction.
All right, thank you. Then I feel more comfortable about voting for the withdrawal.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I'm just a little bit unclear. I'm such an absolute person. I always understood that we are under this, double jeopardy rule, that you can't introduce not just the bill again. I think we understand that. You can't reintroduce the same bill, but reintroduce the same topic, the same objective, the same title, the same, what other word can I use? I mean, how would Alderman Gay be able to reintroduce this when it is, addressing rent? Would he have to rephrase it? Do you know what I'm asking?
I think the city attorney answered that. Yes, you can. it's not the same bill, but the same topic is eligible. Is that right, Mr. City Attorney?
Okay. Look, we didn't know
Thank you.
that.
Alderman Savage.
Yeah.
But just to, just a quick on that, another question for the city attorney, I guess. Even if somebody were to introduce something similar or the same thing, if it was adopted on first reader unanimously, would that be equivalent to a suspension of the rules, or would we need to make a separate motion?
Well, yes, a suspension of the rules, but I would prefer to see what comes and then give you a proper review and ruling based on what's in front of me.
Okay.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your support and the support of all the other jurisdictions that are assisting with the legislation. Thank you.
Okay, we have a first and second on withdrawing 050-22. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed?
Abstain. I'm a landlord. I had mentioned that earlier.
Thank you. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next item on the agenda.
Yes, sir. The next item on the agenda is Ordinance 05522, Sediment Control Inspections Process, Fees, and Milestone Inspections.
Is there a motion, is there a motion to adopt? No, sorry. Motion to refer 052. What's this?
Yes. Yes, it's supposed to refer back to.
A move to refer until the
Environmental matters.
Okay.
second meeting in April. No? What's the right date?
The motion is to refer
5522
I'd like
to
Okay, so it's not a postponement, it's referral. Is that what you're saying?
I think it's a postponement, isn't it? Yeah.
I think
05522 is on the agenda to refer to Environmental Matters Committee. That was the next step.
so.
for it to go
Move to refer it to environmental matters and to postpone council action until the second meeting in April.
Correct.
Good. So-
Okay. Thank you. All right. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next item on the agenda.
Yes, sir. The next item on the agenda is legislative actions on second reader, beginning with Ordinance 0623, City of Annapolis cellular antenna lease with new singular wireless.
Alderman Chandelmeyer.
Mr. Mayor, I believe it was requested by our law office to postpone action on this until our next meeting due to a change in the lease negotiations.
Thank you. Can I get a motion for that?
So moved.
Thank you. A second. Thank you. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next item on the agenda.
Yes, sir. The next item on the agenda is Ordinance 05222, Streets Turtle-Friendly Curbs.
All right. Could I get a motion and could I see your little turtle
Alderwoman
on
O'Neill.
05522? Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay. I see we have a proposed amendment here. Alderman Savage.
Yes, I'd like to move Amendment 1, which is the Savage substitution amendment.
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Who's going to be opposed to turtles?
Go Terps.
I'd like to move 052 as amended.
Thank you. Can I get a second? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Do we consider that motion substantive? I don't think so. Is there a motion to adopt 0-52-22 as amended on second reader?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Is there a motion to adopt 0-52-22 on third reader?
So moved.
Second.
Second. Okay. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes, sir. Mayor Buckley?
Aye.
Alderman Pendle Charles?
Aye.
Alderman Finlayson?
Aye.
Alderman Chandelmeyer?
Aye.
Alderman Gay? Alderman Savage?
Aye.
Alderman Arnett?
Aye.
Alderman Materny?
Aye.
Alderwoman O'Neill?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next on the agenda.
Yes, sir. The next item on the agenda for second reader is Resolution R823, Annual Statement of Performance Standards.
Hold on, miss. Mike, excuse me, at the beginning of the meeting, the motion to remove R1 from the agenda did not pass. So it is the next item on the
Understood.
agenda.
Sir,
Point of
Mr. Mayor,
information, Mr. Mayor.
slight correction.
Alderman Gay?
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor. At the at our Housing and Human Welfare Committee meeting, we requested, it has not reached a 90-day rule in committee. We requested that it actually be postponed to our April the 17th meeting. I followed up with an email to the staff of of the committee that was proceeding over it. I'm not sure how it made its way onto the agenda. Correct me if I'm wrong, please, if it's reached the committee deadline of 90 days.
That's correct, Mr. Mayor. It was a typographical error on our part.
Okay, awesome.
It's a typographical error on our
Thank you
part.
so
It
much.
should not have been on the agenda.
I appreciate that.
So from a technical standpoint, my suggestion is that we remove it from the agenda because it was a typographical error on our part.
Thank you. Alderman Savage?
Yeah, so that's what was in the agenda originally. It was on the agenda, and we rejected the motion to approve the agenda as amended without R1, and then I made a motion to approve the agenda as written with the error.
Understand, but maybe further explanation is it's not ready because it had to go to a committee to review, and we didn't hear that instruction at first, and so it ended up on the agenda in error.
I understand.
Mr. Mayor, if I could
But
explain
the
to the
council
sponsor.
can still deal with it if it wants to.
Yeah.
If I could
you,
explain to the
Alderman Gay.
sponsor, no malice intent at all. We had several amendments that night that you were not privy to the explanation of, and I wanted to give you the opportunity to see them beforehand. No malice intent at all. Yeah.
So where are we on that?
So the council can postpone it, and that motion could come now.
Alderman Savage?
I'd like to move to adopt on R123 on second reader.
Okay, can I get a second?
Second.
Okay.
In favor?
All those in favor say
Mr.
aye.
Mayor, if I could, discussion on the
Savage
motion.
on the floor, yeah.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time. Again, I'm not sure if this is some slick move or what. We requested that this be postponed until April the 17th in committee explicitly. We voted on the amendments recommended by the Chief of Planning, or Chief of Comprehensive Planning, accepted the amendments and voted on them to be postponed until our April the 17th amendment for further discussion by the body and the sponsor. I'm not sure how this ended up on the agenda. It was completely in error, and so the fact that we are taking an error as a chance to hijack and make a political move is dangerous, Mr. Mayor. Thank you so much for your consideration.
Still on the floor, Alderman Savage.
I'd like to move the Savage Amendment 3.
Mr. Mayor, there's a motion on the floor that's been seconded, and there's debate. He can't move an amendment when we haven't even voted on the motion on the floor.
So there's a motion on the floor. We're going to vote on this now?
No, because the motion was to adopt on second reader.
But you didn't get a vote on their motion to adopt your R123 on the floor.
It did.
No, was it? Okay, you're right, because we did break for discussion.
I haven't recognized you, Alderman Gay, please. All right. So we have a motion and a second on R123. Okay. All those.
Point of order.
Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Point of information, Madam City Clerk. How is this on the agenda when we've asked in committees that it not be made to the agenda? You were present at the meeting. The policy analysis was present at the meeting, and so was the city council clerk. I'm confused.
Alderman Gay, let me just say that it was a human error, and we do apologize for it being on the agenda. There was no intent to.
So the human error is going to allow for this resolution, which has a significant.
Let me just say further that when you did contact us, we did put it on agenda to be referred back to your committee, but that didn't happen when the agenda was adopted at the beginning. So I do apologize again for the mistake.
Thank you so much. I have no malice towards the office of the city clerk. I find it extremely convenient that this amendment was requested in committee, not to be sent to the council floor, barring the amendments that we had discussed.
You need
and
to
all of a sudden, it's
keep
at
your voice down.
all of a sudden, it's at the city council floor, and it's got the votes. Mighty convenient. Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, all those in favor,
Crazy stat.
No.
because is there an amendment?
It was, okay, the Alderman Savage moved the resolution on second reader, and it got a second. So now it's time for amendments. And he did offer an amendment, but he didn't get a second.
I did, he said.
Okay, thank you.
Do you want to speak to that amendment?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. So amendment number 3, whether or not you intended it, Alderman Gay, your proposed amendments were posted from the committee. And so I reviewed those as the sponsor of the main legislation. And what I did is I took the ones that I thought were friendly, that enhanced the resolution. And I also added a specific whereas clause. And this is in response because I did listen to the last Housing Committee meeting, and there was planning and zoning staff there who specifically mentioned that the council they said that the council has done little on the housing affordability since the 2009 comprehensive plan. And so I reviewed the 2009 comprehensive plan, and in fact, the council has acted on at least 10 out of the 12 action items listed for housing. If you look at the comprehensive plan from 2009, it has, I think it's 3 different policies, if I can get to it. Policy recommendations. Policy number 1 is to support development of housing affordable to workforce or middle-income households. And the action items underneath that are to access funds to address housing needs, and as defined as households between 80% and 120% of the regional median family income. And that one I'm not actually sure if we've taken action on. But for 1.2, the next item, which is to meet the objective of ensuring, so this item talks about revising the MPDU program, which again, I think we've done about half a dozen times at least over the past 10 plus years. So we have complied and enacted that one. Item 1.3 talks about the city should work with neighborhoods to allow mother-in-law apartments or granny flats, those, in other words, ADUs. That we have taken action on thanks to Alderman Schandelmeyer and Alderman Gay. And also in the past, we took action, I think, with Alderman Rodriguez. And so the next item under this policy for recommendation is to acknowledge that Annapolis alone cannot solve the affordable housing crisis, and that we should be advocating for the county and the state to play a role in increasing the supply of affordable housing. And then this one also, I'm assuming we've taken action on this one, but I know we're trying to do that in the resolution, this very resolution. So the next policy recommended in the 2009 plan is to support the revitalization of public housing. And this also, I think, is one that we've really done quite a bit of work on. The first policy recommendation is to support the Housing Authority's effort to revitalize. And we've done that quite a bit. The next one is, as a part of the Housing Authority's current redevelopment plan, should work with HACA to evaluate income diversity. This one I'm not sure if we've worked on. Some of you other may know better than I on that. The next one talks about encouraging context-sensitive design and apply the principles of crime prevention through environmental design, which I believe we have done. The next item talks about recommending that we, provide education to the residents of the Housing Authority. And I know we've had a number of programs to work on that. And the next item talks about recommending that we provide education to the residents of the Housing Authority. And I know we've had a number of programs to work on that. And I know we've had a number of programs to work on that. And I know we've had a number of programs to work on that. And It also talks about improving communication with the Housing Authority. Another recommendation is to have plans for improvement go through some of our commissions, which we've done. The third policy recommended in this 2009 plan is to support housing programs that assist low and moderate income households with homeownership and housing rehabilitation. And this talks about action item for utilizing the Community Development Block Grant, which we've done. Talks about fostering partnerships, which we've done with groups like Habitat for Humanity. And that's it. So as you get, that's why I included this whereas that says, whereas the City Council has taken strong action to further affordable housing since the 2009 Comprehensive Plan, implementing and acting on at least 10 out of the 12 recommended policy action items from that plan. This is again to address that misconception that we have done little over the years. So that kind of summarizes some of the changes. The other change is well, that's really most of it. I took some of the other comments that were recommended from the other amendments regarding dates, and that's basically it for that amendment.
Thank you. Alderman Gay had his hand up next, and then Alderman Schneidermeyer.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor. Everything is germane to the amendment on the floor. Again, in the reading that we have it, I have significant concerns regarding the staff that put together this amendment and allowed it to be on the agenda tonight. I'm concerned because it's not the first coincidence. The first was 04022 and what I described and the chaos there, you know, with the planning staff and then the Office of Law staff, etc. I forget that because I'm prepared to work with my colleagues on 04022 as I committed to several of my colleagues at the lunch today. Then we get R123, which is in direct defiance to 04022 and is mistakenly put on the agenda so they can mistakenly vote on it tonight. I don't know how that happens, Mr. Mayor, and I would appreciate it if moving forward, as I requested previously, at every single subcommittee meeting of the council, a assistant city attorney should be present. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Because if something happens, you watching on Zoom can't correct us so that we can address it in the moment and make sure that things are, so that we can make sure that business is done appropriately. I'm not trying to come off hostile at all in any way, shape, or form, Mr. Mayor, but I'm just disappointed in the fact that this made it on the agenda accidentally when 04022 was screwed up from the beginning in the Office of Law. And then this is just like, none of that makes any sense. We've had the planning staff here on a number of occasions, and they've said that R123 goes directly against what is proposed in the comprehensive plan. Not only to mention it goes in direct defiance of the Fair Housing Act and its specific and blatant target of affordable housing or housing affordability. I don't understand how the council or a majority of the body could support this. More importantly, I don't understand how this was accidentally put on the agenda. We don't make mistakes. There have been several occasions where where the city clerk or the city clerk staff has sent agendas to the council. Before they were published, we've said, hey, this should not be present, or this should not be on here, or hey, this should be removed. They've removed it without question. Now all of a sudden, this mistakenly makes it on the agenda when we asked that it be postponed into the 17th. I don't know how that would happen. I asked that the city manager also take a look into the staffing and procedural process of legislation as it relates to the body and our process to the Office of Law. I think at minimum, the city attorney's office, and this is no, Gav, even despite what happened earlier, I love you. Like seriously, you've been a really good mayor and a good friend. But at minimum, the city attorney's office should report to the city manager. There's some funny business going on, and particularly with 04022 and R123 being accidentally put on. It's directly, that's the only reason that this was on the agenda.
Alderman Gay, the city attorney had admitted that it was a mistake making. The city attorney had suggested that we postpone it, but it was brought to the floor by the council.
But I emailed them even before this got out to the public, and there have been so many situations in the past where my colleagues have emailed or said, I can even point to my colleague from Ward 8, has been disappointed about something on the agenda, and we've pulled it, or we've removed it prior to it being published to the public. And so I'm not understanding why, in this instance, where there was a legitimate error, and I requested that it be removed prior to the meeting, they could not remove it, and they allowed it to go forward. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I don't want to destroy any more time. I'm going to repeat.
Alderman Shandemeyer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Alderman Savage, in regards to the whereas clause that was added in on actions since the 2009 comprehensive plan and actions towards housing affordability, what was the average cost of a home in 2009 in Annapolis, the city of Annapolis? Do you know? It was, according to the BAE study on urban economics that was done for a comprehensive plan, approximately $350,000 was the median home price. What's the median home price in the city of Annapolis right now?
I think you should be addressing me, and I don't know.
This is to the room. Anyone?
It's not a cross-examination.
It's $625,000. Again, according to the BAE study on the market analysis of the comprehensive plan. I appreciate we tried certain things. Tightening the MPDU rule was a good thing. Accessory dwelling units were a small step. I never once said that that would solve the housing crisis, but it was a small but necessary step to be taken. But we can see, just through numbers from our own people, we have failed in addressing any kind of meaningful, sustainable housing affordability since the 2009 comprehensive plan. We have done some things that have made a significant difference for small groups of people. Yes, and that should be commended. But as a structural process, this whereas clause is frankly not matching the numbers. I also have a lot of issue with we can't solve the housing crisis alone, and we need to take into consideration what Anne Arundel County is doing. That sends a message, whether we intend it to or not. We do not care about the housing crisis in the city, and we are going to pass all responsibility to the county for this issue. And passing responsibility to this to a legislative body that contains Nate Volke is reckless. And you combine that with some of the things that people have said to each other in private, it really kind of goes into the core of why there is a lot of mistrust on R123. Because we've seen the things you've said. Two of the co-sponsors have been called uninvested due to their support of housing affordability and due to homeowner status by a co-sponsor of this. It doesn't match the numbers. It sends a really bad message. And then finally, there's the fundamental issue that the chief of comprehensive planning, and I appreciate this incorporates some of his things. The chief of comprehensive planning has had a lot of issues on a resolution that is designed to handle comprehensive plans, the comprehensive plan. I have a lot of issues with R1, but if we implement if we implement Amendment 1, I will at least just vote no and pout and not go, this is actively trying to subvert any attempt at fair housing in the city. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
All ready for a vote? I will be voting no just because this process is, I'm not happy with it.
Are we voting on the amendment?
We're voting on the amendment, so.
Amendment 3. Savage amendment, okay.
Any other comments?
I just want to be clear, because I've kind of gotten a bit confused. We're not on Amendment 1, we're not on Amendment 2, we're on Amendment 3. Is that correct? That's what we're voting on? Okay.
Yes.
All right, just want to make sure. Thank you.
Okay. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no.
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 Thank you. The ayes have it. Can I get a motion? Thank you.
Move R123 as
As
amended
amended.
on second reader.
Thank you. Second.
Thank you so,
Is it something new, Alderman Gay?
Mr. Mayor's discussion on the amendment that's
Yeah.
on, on the motion that's on the floor. I once again want to echo the fact that the Chief of Comprehensive Planning has denounced this legislation and his proposed amendments. I want to once again echo that we had requested that this amendment be postponed until April the 17th. I have no idea how it ended up on the agenda tonight, even though we requested that it be removed prior to the agenda being published to the public. So that means that they had ample opportunity to remove it before they published it to the public. Instead, they chose to do so in direct defiance of the Housing and Human Welfare Committee and our request and our vote. I'm not sure how any of that took place.
Alderman Gay, you've stated this 3 times.
You're right, Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry, but I'm taking the opportunity as a member of the council to discuss my displeasure. So thank you very much for allowing me that. But again, the staff should not have put this legislation on the agenda.
Thank you. Alderman Schneidermeyer.
This is a strict point of order question.
Yep.
I know we jumped onto Amendment 3. Are we not going to put our votes on the record for Amendment 1 and Amendment 2?
I think they're on the record. Yeah.
We moved right to Amendment 3.
I think they haven't been moved.
They
Yeah.
haven't been moved.
No, but I think it's important that we put people on the record of the Chief of Comprehensive Planning's recommended proposals and other proposals as well.
You have an opportunity to move those. I
I'd like
think.
to move Amendment 1, please.
No.
Point of order.
Thought we're out of order.
Alderman Savage. Sorry.
The motion is as amended, so it can't be amended again unless that vote's
Okay.
overturned.
Very well.
Regina.
He is correct.
That's correct. Thank you. Alderman Schneidermeyer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Quick question to any of the co-sponsors, and I know this may not be traditional rules, but I do think it's important to get a sense of understanding what Annapolis's housing market is today. Not 10 years ago, not 20 years ago or more, today. Does anyone here have a sense of how many apartments, period, are for rent?
It's not a cross-examination forum, please, Alderman Schneidermeyer.
You can't directly define
Very well.
the landlord.
In the city of Annapolis, according to apartments.com, that you can move into on April 1st, and this is the entire city regardless of price, there are currently 68 rental units available in the city. Only 25 of them are $2,000 or less, the average rent according to the BAE study on the Annapolis housing market. 0 are $1,500 or less. According to Zillow, there are only 48 total rentals in the city.
Currently.
14
Apartments.
of them are $2,000 or less. And only one is $1,500 or less. The for sale market is also pretty dire. There are only 47 units for sale in the city according to Zillow. Only 13 of those are for sale for $500,000 or less. And only 9 of those are for sale for $335,000 or less, which is what I paid for my home, which has gone up in value by over $20,000.
Mr. Mayor,
I'm still going.
I just want to make one caveat based on my situation. You're talking about apartments, is that correct?
Total rental units available.
That is not true.
I accept criticisms and suggestions to my methodology, but
You don't have the floor, please.
Oh, I'm sorry.
that was total
Alderman
rental units. And,
Schneidermeyer.
if I may, I will accept total, while the websites that I used of apartments.com and Zillow, I am open to criticisms and suggestions in my methodology. But those are the 2 biggest public listed real estate websites that are being used to find places to live. And it is a very good starting point on which to judge. My point is, we seem to have a lack of concern for how bad the market is right now. It is apocalyptic. We are hemorrhaging young families due to the high cost of housing. And this may seem like, oh, well, who cares about that? We want older established people. This is also bad news for them. If someone's situation changes, if they're currently an owner, such as an illness, a death in the family, a job change, an addition to the family, that can radically change your housing situation and block the flexibility to be able to stay in the city where you live and call home. This resolution cannot be unseparated from the workforce housing bill. And it is really, combined with our other practices of land use and housing policy and comments made during the comprehensive plan study, shows that we are not taking this seriously. To anybody who is struggling to stay in their home because they lost a spouse or got divorced, we're saying we don't take this seriously. For someone who has just been evicted, whether a kid with leukemia, and has nowhere to go in the city that they call home. And this isn't a make-believe. This is something that happened in the Admiral Farragut Apartments to someone on Thursday of last week. We're saying we don't take that seriously. Folks, we keep putting forward these values of we want to be a welcoming city, of a one Annapolis city, if we care about addressing this and that for discrimination and housing affordability. But every time it comes up, we come up short 5-4. And that speaks louder than resolutions. So we know how this is going to play out. We do. This is me raging against the dark. I get it. But I just want it said 10, 20, 30 years ago from now, when people are looking back on this and they go, what happened when the city of Annapolis was so out of compliance with the fair housing rule and didn't know that since 2015? Why did it decide to double down on discrimination? Because we want to comfort the comfortable more than anything else. Thank you.
Alderman Pendle Charles, can we just vote?
I just have one thing to say. I just want to clarify, based on personal, truly personal knowledge, that must be just for apartments. I'll speak to you after the meeting.
Alderman Savage.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just need to clarify that if people want to know the intention of the resolution, please do read it. It acknowledges that we have a problem with housing affordability in the city, and it tries its best to outline a way forward to build consensus and to utilize our comprehensive planning process to accomplish those goals.
Point of information. Point of information.
I think call the question comes
Point of information.
Second.
No, it came first, Alderman Gay.
Is that a...
They called the question.
Are we following the rules correctly?
I'm pretty sure that's the rule. So.
Okay. I was... Point of personal privilege.
That's the vote. It goes right to the call of question.
Calling the question is a motion. You got a motion and a second to stop the debate.
But I have a point of personal privilege.
There's a motion and a second.
According to the Roberts Rules of Order, a point of personal privilege doesn't require a second.
I would like you to recognize that there are not the votes here. We care about housing, but there are not the votes here. You can't keep flogging this issue. Just recognize the votes are not here. Please.
A point of personal privilege doesn't require a second.
Alderman Gay.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor.
No, there's a motion on the floor that's been seconded.
A point of personal privilege trumps that, Alderman Savage, and it doesn't require a second.
You have to recognize anyone you don't want to recognize.
Okay, I'm not going to recognize you. We're going to take a vote on this now. All those in favour of calling the question, say aye. Aye. Opposed to calling the question, say no.
No.
Thank you. Okay, now we're going to vote on this motion, or we'll do a roll call.
Yes.
Okay.
I want to make sure I know what we're voting on, Madam Clerk.
We are voting on R123 as amended on second reader.
Okay.
Alderman Savage moved it and it was seconded. So
Okay.
we're ready to do the roll call vote.
Thank you.
Okay?
The Third Amendment.
Just the third.
We only approved the third. Okay, ready? Mayor Buckley.
I'm a no.
Okay. Alderman Pendle Charles.
Aye.
Alderman Finlayson.
Aye.
Alderman Shadow-Meyer.
Nay.
Point of information, Mr. Mayor.
No.
We've had a colleague remit herself from voting on the legislation due to being a landlord, and now she's voting on legislation that directly impacts landlords.
Out of order.
Alderman Gay, I am not recognizing you, but you've spoken a lot tonight. You have to understand that.
Okay.
Thank you. We're in the middle of a vote, and you are interrupting that. Please.
No.
Okay.
Okay. Alderman Savage.
Aye.
Alderman Arnett, I'm sorry.
Aye.
Thank you. Alderman Tierney.
No.
Alderwoman O'Neill.
Aye.
Motion
The
passes.
notice passes 5-4.
Point of information, please.
Now.
Thank you so much,
Alderman
Mr.
Gay.
Mayor, because I'm not sure what's going on. As I read Robert's Rules of Order, a point of personal privilege should be accepted regardless of what's on the floor. Even when I requested the point of information, requiring information on the motion on the floor, that should have been corrected. And so I'm just not sure how we've managed to ignore every single point of information or point of order I've requested.
I have not ignored I've answered probably 90% of them, but Alderman Gay, you have been doing it continuously tonight. Right, and you're not going to get a different answer if you say the same thing.
And I wasn't asking a question in the last one. My actual question was just in regards to what is the process or procedure when staff inadvertently places legislation on an agenda that has an effect on the entire city? What if this had been legislation to dump toxic water from Ohio right into the Chesapeake Bay at the city dock, and they had accidentally put it on the dais? I mean, at what point does accidentally get checked is my point of information.
Okay, and what we've explained that to you, but we can explain it again. It was a mistake. We've suggested that we withdraw it. The council decided not to withdraw it. It was voted in, and that's the process.
So my question, though, was the mistake, because again, I'm just checking for order and clarification. Was the mistake before or after I sent the email to the city clerk and her staff requesting that it be removed? Because if that is the case, I just need to know if the city, if her staff did not see that email, or if it was forwarded to the city manager and the city attorney, and either ignored or referred back asking them to remove it, and it was not removed. And that's where I'm just confused
The
at.
city attorney has explained what happened, right? And how many more times do I need to explain that they made a mistake? I don't know what the sequence is. Maybe you can check that after, but we're not going to research this now or have an autopsy on what happened right in the public forum here. So I don't know, but I'll accept what the city attorney has said to me. I am learning this thing on the floor just like you are learning this thing.
Thank you so much. Mr. Mayor, but can you just understand it, just considering how passionate I was, consider if it was outdoor dining legislation or something, I'd expect you to react the same way. And so, we have our own issues that we're passionate about, and I'm only asking just for clarification because I passionately care about the issue. Not to undermine you or any staff, but I just want to know what happened. And I appreciate that. I did not get a clear answer as to what took place. My last point of information is it required that a council member pay for a request of emails transcribed between city staff? Is that required under the Public Information Act? Or are they accessible to the city council because we are the governing body that could request those?
Texts from a city
No,
council
not text.
member?
I would never go that far. Emails directly related to the R123 and its removal from the agenda.
I would believe it's public. You can FOIA it, I would believe, Mr. City Attorney.
The council can ask for an email string, but emails are less reliable than me actually telling you that staff, in contradiction to what you requested, mistakenly included the legislation on the agenda. The emails will only serve to support that, but my verbal statement is, again, that there was a mistake by my office, and we apologize, accept that mistake, but it was a mistake. You had told us what to do, and that was not followed exactly as you requested.
Thank you so much, Mr. City Attorney and Mr. Mayor. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Alderman Savage.
Mr. Mayor, I just want to clarify in staff's defense. We were sent a draft agenda on March 22nd at 10:24 a.m. Draft agenda that had this listed, and that agenda is sent out by staff early. Thank you. In case we need to make changes to it, and I'm assuming that you weren't requested to remove R1. So, because it did make it on the final agenda that was also sent to us, I think, a couple days later.
Thank you. Mr. City Attorney, Alderman Gay.
For the record, my email was sent hours after the draft agenda was sent out. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next item on the agenda.
Yes, sir. The next item on the agenda is Resolution R823, Annual Statement of Performance Standards.
Is there a motion to adopt R8-23 on second reader?
So moved.
Right. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes, sir. Mayor Buckley?
Aye.
Alderman Pendle Charles?
Aye.
Alderman Finlayson?
Aye.
Alderman Shannon Meyer?
Aye.
Alderman Gay? Aye. Alderman Savage?
Aye.
Alderman Arnett?
Aye.
Alderwoman Tierney?
Aye.
Alderwoman O'Neill? Aye. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next on the agenda.
Yes, sir. The next item. Yes, sir. The next item on the agenda is R1123, City-Supported Special Events in Fiscal Year 2024.
Is there a motion to adopt R11-23 on second reader?
So moved.
Second.
I think we have an amendment to be moved. Alderman Tierney.
Thank you. I move Amendment 1, which is basically a substitute bill.
Thank you. Could I get a second, please?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion on that, or you want to? Nope. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, quick point of discussion. I apologize.
Alderman Shannon. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Alderman Tierney, you said it's a substitute bill. Is it just like a couple minor changes here and there that was easier
Yeah, I'm sorry, I should explain that.
do a whole new?
Yeah, when it was first drafted, it was a little bit confusing because they were all listed under the category of city-supported events. In other words, we were waiving their fees, but we don't waive fees for the three city events. So in the substitute bill, as you can see, the Independence Day Parade, the New Year's Eve celebration, and the Memorial Day Parade are separated out as not part of the ones that we waive the fee.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It was hard to kind of amend it to do that. Thanks.
All those in favor of Tierney amendment say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Is there a motion to adopt R-11-23 as amended on second reader?
So moved.
Second.
Second. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes, sir. Mayor Buckley?
Aye.
Alderman Pendle Charles?
Aye.
Alderman Finlayson?
Aye.
Alderman Shannon Meyer?
Aye.
Alderman Gay?
Aye.
Alderman Savage?
Aye.
Alderman Arnett?
Aye.
Alderman Tierney?
Aye.
Alderman O'Neill? Aye. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next item on the agenda.
Yes, sir. The next item on the agenda is R1323, Third-Party Bond Fees.
So moved.
Second.
I have is this a motion to postpone here?
Whoa.
No,
Really?
Third
that's
body.
not right.
Yes, we asked on the finance committee.
There,
Yeah.
Is that right? No. Jody, there's no.
Jody Dickinson, Finance Director. There's a companion piece of legislation, CA 123, that still hasn't been finished. Its review in Rules and City Government Committee. This fee resolution sets the fees that are established by that charter amendment. So I would say you'd probably want to wait and have this one go through with the charter amendment.
Thank you. Alderman Shannon.
Point of procedure question, Mr. Mayor. In my haste, I put forward a motion and I believe it got a second. What do we do?
Did.
Mr. City Attorney?
I apologize, that didn't get brought up
You have
before.
a motion and a second. You have a motion and a second. However,
I was enthusiastic.
based on the information provided by the Director of Finance, this particular resolution would not be legally sufficient if passed prior to the adoption of CA 123. So it's potentially out of order in my view.
So we vote it down?
Can we?
I think you can just vote to postpone as the motion to sustain it without CA1 is inappropriate, improper.
I move we postpone for 2 council meetings.
I'll
So we'll have it down here till April 10th. Is that okay?
Okay. April
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you.
Second, thank you. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Opposed? Thank you. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next on the agenda.
Yes, sir. The next item on the agenda is Resolution R 1923, 2023 Annapolis Pride Parade and Festival Waiver of Fees.
Is there a motion to adopt R-19-23 on second reader?
Second.
Thank you. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Yes, sir. Mayor Buckley?
Aye.
Alderwoman Pendle Charles?
Aye.
Alderwoman Finlayson?
Aye.
Alderman Shannon Meyer?
Aye.
Alderman Gay?
Aye.
Alderman Savage?
Aye.
Alderman Arnett?
Aye.
Alderwoman Tierney?
Aye.
Alderwoman O'Neill?
Aye.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, if you could please add me as a co-sponsor to R 1923.
Absolutely. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next on the agenda.
Yes, the next item on the agenda is Resolution R 5022, Rocky Gorge Development Emergency Action.
I need a motion to postpone. Alderman Finlayson.
Yes, that was the motion I was going to make. We have met with the owners of the property, but still not satisfied with their efforts to work with the city. So I want to keep this alive on our docket. So, thank you.
Second.
We got it. That's a motion and a second. Thank you. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Mr. City Attorney, please present the next item on the agenda.
Mr. Mayor, the agenda is complete.
Oh my God. Alderman Gay.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate the opportunity to speak on the floor. Let me just clarify in being keeping it 100, as we say in the street sometimes. I have not shown up to any council meetings under the influence. As you all know, I have been very sick for the last several weeks. I showed up to our public safety meeting like this, to the finance meeting like this, and several meetings we had out there to meet. At our lunch today, I had 1 glass of Pinot Noir, a crab soup, and fries. No other alcoholic beverages. After that, I immediately went to the court to assist residents and constituents with affordable housing issues and eviction issues that they were having. All of that can be tracked. I'm not sure where the aspersion of the accusation has come from today that I showed up completely hammered or slammered. That's false. I had 1 glass of Pinot Noir today, Zyrtec shots up the nose, acetaminophen from Dayquil and NyQuil, and that's it. And I want that on the record. I show up ready and prepared to do this job professionally every single time I enter the chamber. I spoke to my colleagues at our lunch today and let them know that I would be completely professional as it relates to 04022, R123. I didn't even mention the project's name as it relates to the West Street project in the beginning. I just said the West Street project. So I'm not sure where the animosity came from. But I just want to, again, for the record, let the record state I have not been under any influence at this meeting, except for illness, which consists of acetaminophen from Dayquil and NyQuil, which I did take before this council meeting, as well as a Zicam nostril shot. Thank you. I had to address that because to make an accusation on the floor that's very irresponsible and slanderous.
Thank you, Alderman Shannon.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We want to send our condolences to the folks in Nashville, Tennessee for the tragic mass shooting that occurred there today. We have you in our hearts and our prayers and our thoughts, and it's a brutal thing to go to.
Wow, I haven't heard about that. Wow. Anything else for good order? Alderman Tierney?
Just quickly, I know this is a personal subject, but I just want Alderman Arnett to know that we are all thinking about him and understand the stress that he's under, and thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Anything else for good order? I need to get wasted now. So that's a joke at me. I'm making that joke at myself. I apologize, Alderman Gay. Can I get a motion to adjourn? Need a second. Thank you. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.